Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Always Online multiplayer gaming podcast brought to you by mmorpg, your home for all things multiplayer related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magicman. This is episode 484 on August 11th. We're doing the show live a little later than normal. Normally it's 1 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/mmobomb. It's 2 p.m. Eastern now. I had a little work call and my hosts were gracious enough to be able to be flexible here, and I appreciate them immensely. So yes, Tori, you did not miss it. You did not miss it. If you're following us, Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it, at MMOBomb, you'll always know if we ever have to move. Normally never happens, but occasionally once in a while. Joining me to go over all kinds of fun multiplayer news and what we're looking forward to for the rest of this year and the beginning of 2024, Mr. Troy Blackburn. What's up, Noob Fridge?
I like how there's immediately dog butt in my shot.
Always.
Right off the bat.
Cute. Always. Always got to get the dog butt in there.
But I went to Gen Con last weekend, had a great time.
How'd it go?
It was fantastic. I had an absolute blast there. Got to demo a lot of games, play a lot of games, buy a lot of games. Spent more money than I intended to, but I came back with games that I wanted. So I didn't veer off the list of things that I knew ahead of time I was interested in. So I consider that a win.
Troy came back and was like, hey, Byrne, you got any extra MMOBomb stuff that needs done? I could use a couple extra bucks. So here's is your wife within earshot?
No, she's in Chicago. I got to go pick her up at the airport here in about an hour.
So how much were you planning to spend, and how much did you actually spend?
I had planned around $500, and I ended up spending more like $700.
Okay, that's not terrible. That's not horrible. Like, yeah, it's not great, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Also on the line to go over all the fun stuff, Mr. Matthew D'Onofrio, the Dino Fries one, hitting the vape. What's up?
What's up, guys? What's up, guys?
You got caught with this like sad cloud coming out of your mouth real quick.
I was hoping I could do that quick. Coming at you from New York, where it is so friggin' hot. But I'm excited to be here, talk about some games. I've been playing a lot of games.
Are you a tabletop gamer, speaking of Gen Con?
No. My tabletop gaming, I used to have a D&D group, which was really, really fun, and I wish I could find another one. But I've only played it a few times, and that's my extent.
Yeah, those D&D groups, they're hard to find. You can't just hit Facebook and be like, hey, any D&D groups. Let's slide over.
I feel like
you definitely can. You definitely can.
I was gonna say, like, it's so popular now.
Yeah,
I feel like I could
being
do that.
very sarcastic there. You can fall out your door into a D&D group.
Join.
Let's slide over and get started with the news. All right, so it's been a few months, about 4 or so. Towards the beginning of the year, we kind of talked about with the hosts, what are you looking forward to this year? A couple titles, couple MMOs. Let us know what you're looking forward to, obviously, in the comments below so that we can share them on next week's show. But now it's kind of time, we're getting a little later in the year, getting ready to hit fall here soon. We've seen roadmaps for games that complete the rest of the year. We've seen games delayed from 2023 into 2024, and I'm sure we'll talk about a couple of those. And we've seen games that launched just recently in early access or open betas or have opened the doors in other ways to all players. So I thought, gents, let's revisit games that have come out that we're really enjoying, things that we're hyped for coming up, whether that's later this year or early in 2024. I assume there's quite a few that you would expect to be discussed in this section. So I guess, Troy, I'll start with you, and I'll give you a softball. I assume Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure is absolutely on the list for you, and this one literally just days away.
Yeah, it's officially re-downloaded, getting myself ready, reacquainted with the game a little bit, and getting ready for the expansion. Looking forward to what all they have to offer. They just announced, was it yesterday or the day before we wrote it up, that there's going to be a streamlined way to get the sky scale mount
That
now.
made you really happy.
So I'm looking forward to maybe finally having a sky scale mount. That would be fantastic. The original way to get that is an absolute slog, and my God, I just can't get myself to finish it. So hopefully the way you get it now through the mastery system, hopefully that's going to be a little easier, a little less time consuming to get it. But I'm also still curious. I don't know that I would say looking forward to, but curious about Throne and Liberty with the combat changes that they've talked about that they're going to add. And Wayfinder's kind of in the same plate, right? Like they're talking about combat changes and changing the way that some of their stuff works. So both of those have gone to curiosities for me. I wouldn't say that I'm like chomping at the bit looking forward to them, but right now it's all about Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, and then Matthew, I mean, Wayfinder early access just a few days away here on PC on the 15th. So next week we'll be hitting that. And then, news this week, Throne and Liberty, one that's was very highly anticipated by many. And then when some testing was available and able to be seen, maybe not as anticipated, but now that bad boy delayed into 2024, with a big part of the delay being combat tweaking and refeatures. And we were we were being euphemistic a bit, and we said, it needs a tad work. And somebody in the comments was like, it needs a lot more than a tad bit of work. And to be fair, it definitely did. But I don't think, I don't know for me personally if they can rescue that without a huge combat overhaul. And the problem was because of the way for me, was the way they build it. They build it, Amazon and everybody, and NCSoft, as an action combat game, and then it came out and it's tab target. I will play a tab target game. I don't have any problem with a tab target game. I'll jump in and have a blast if it's fun. But when you bill it as action combat and then you give somebody tab target, you can go back and make changes because you need to on tech, whether it's clipping through or getting animation locked or stuff like that. You can absolutely change those. But we saw this way back in the day with, what was it, Troy? Ascent Infinite Realm, right? We saw those initial trailers for it, and it was like very action-y and stuff like that. And then we got a tab target game. Then we go back even further. Bless Online. Remember? That was a tab target game initially that decided we're going to delay things and make ourselves action combat, and totally revamped things. Now, it didn't work out there either. Obviously, I feel like the delay is a good thing, but I don't know if at the end of the day it addresses my overall concerns.
Well, you've still got the what's going to turn out to be just a grindy Korean MMO behind all of that.
Yeah, and they said nothing about the auto hunting either.
Yeah. You still got the auto combat, and that exists for a reason. That exists because of the grindiness of the game and what's going to be there for that. So you still got other issues that probably will make it a flash in the pan over here in the West. On top of just the combat, but it was hard to get past the combat because the combat was so bad for most of the people who were playing the game.
And it's the thing you're going to do the most, Matthew.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's dead in the water. My only complaint is that I thought Blue Protocol got moved because Throne and Liberty was coming out this fall, because Blue Protocol was initially supposed to come out this fall. And
still will in Japan.
Right.
But the global launch was delayed.
Right,
yeah.
Which Amazon Games is behind. So that's a bummer for me. But I don't know. I personally don't even care about Throne and Liberty anymore. I still think it looks really good. I probably will I definitely will watch people play it, but not something that I'm interested in anymore since that first look came out.
So what are you looking forward to then? Blue Protocol, obviously.
Blue Protocol, big time. I've been watching this game for so long. Isn't is Core Punk coming out this year?
Oh, I forgot about that.
I always get Wayfinder and Core Punk mixed up because they look so similar, but I know they play differently.
Yeah, the one's kind of like a fog of war thing, like with Core Punk,
Yeah,
right?
Cyberpunk looks really cool.
And
And
well, Core Punk has that like kind of MOBA camera though, doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yes, it does.
it's very like a MOBA RPG.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
is that coming out?
So Blue Protocol for sure. Wayfinder. Let's see. I played the betas, and I was not thrilled with that. But I guess if it's more fun, it seems so, I don't know, basic. It just doesn't seem very deep enough for me to enjoy. But it is, isn't it free upon launch?
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
So
they're
I mean
selling the
that's
bundles for their like early
right
access
for
stuff,
early
but yeah.
access. Yeah, I think for a free to play game, that's that's cool. That's cool for a free to play game.
Yeah, Wayfinder, man, it's been a while since Troy I've had a game that I was like, "Oh, dude, that's probably like a 9 for me based on the description and I'm okay with the art style and everything. Cool, 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 cool." And then okay, maybe it's an 8. Okay, well, all right, maybe it's a 7. Uh or maybe it's a 6. Okay, wait, you got me back to a 7, but I'm going to have to see the changes. Like, it's been a weird path for Wayfinder in my book.
Yep.
Yeah, they kind of missed the mark initially on some of the stuff, and so we're just still waiting to see, man. That's all we can do at this point is wait and see. They've promised changes. They promised they're gonna, improve the combat, improve the gameplay loop, have more for us to see and do next time around. So we're just waiting at this point.
Matthew, you had something there. Go ahead.
I don't like. I played the game, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what could they improve at this point so soon to release that could make things better. I guess like changing the impact of the way the game of like the way your character moves and hits could make things better because that was definitely super lackluster.
Oh, it was
But
horrid.
yeah, but the core gameplay loop of you just running dungeon after dungeon after dungeon, that's not going to change, and I don't see that very appealing without a like top tier, you know, without top tier gameplay. And I don't feel
Yeah.
like the combat is there. So if the combat isn't that great, I don't want to run dungeons over and
Yeah.
over again.
I mean, think of the type of games that run those loops, right? Your general MMORPGs, yes, you're running loops, right? Maybe it's farming dungeons to get X tokens to go buy gear, or doing PvP to farm X tokens and get these rewards and stuff. But I view them more as like micro loops, right? When you get to endgame, it's not just about cycling through the dungeons over and over again. There might be 6 or 7 activities that you can repetitively do to gain rewards, but you are free to jump between those activities as much as you want. When you look at a game like Wayfinder, and it's being published by Digital Extremes as a free-to-play title, as the publisher, I would assume they're not going to really schmack us with a horrible free-to-play model, right? They've got Warframe basically down pat.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I would hope that we won't have to worry about model. But if you look at the type of game that Wayfinder is, it is a very much that game where we've got one gameplay style, one gameplay loop. And yeah, sure, you might have story quests and an interesting narrative beats and stuff going through that thing, but you can only do that once. Once you're done with that, you know, the story holds no allure for you anymore. Look at the games that follow that model, right? Path of Exile, Diablo 4s, those types of games where you're constantly running a dungeon, or Warframe itself, since we're talking about Digital Extremes, where, yeah, there's plenty of different planets and things to farm, but the core gameplay loop is one of like 5 or 6 different mission types over and over and over again. What makes you want to do that? The loot is worth it. It feels worth it. It's interesting to grab and collect and build and craft. But at the heart, to your point, Matt, the gameplay is fun. Like jumping through a level as a badass space ninja with the parkour skills and messing around with your new favorite gun, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Wayfinder gets there. It took Warframe years to get there. It was interesting at the start, but bare bones, and it took a few years to get there. And I don't know if Wayfinder gets that much time. That's my concern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You hit it right on the head.
It's like,
good.
I got nothing for you. I got
I got
nothing
nothing.
for you.
That was pretty much what I was thinking.
How about Arc 2? Anybody interested there? That's another big one coming, right? Dino Survivals.
Meh.
No.
I love dinosaurs, but I didn't really play the first one. It's just another one of those games. I'll check out footage for sure and see what it's all about. Because Ark has a very culty following. I feel like people love that game.
You've been, speaking of dinos, I see you've been playing a lot of Exoprimal lately.
Oof. I friggin' love Exoprimal.
That's weird because I was like,
what a hidden gem.
Yeah, going back, that was one that you were like, meh, okay, whatever, I'll try it, meh. And I was like, here, you want a key? You're like, yeah, sure.
I
Here's a
still
key.
think it's expensive for
Oh,
what
100% it is. Yeah.
If you have Game Pass, oh, it's so much fun.
Exoprimal is stupid fun.
Have you been playing it, Mike?
Yeah, I have.
It's very fun.
It's stupid fun. It is so
Yeah.
dumb. But I knew I was gonna like that one, and I'm just glad it delivers right now. It's gonna be interesting to see how they roll things out through the season. It is one of those games that, again, the gameplay loop is fun, but it is repetitive. How do you spice that gameplay loop up a little bit? I know this isn't like a brand new game, but today was, or yesterday, yesterday was a big day for Overwatch 2, right, Troy? I mean, that's new season with the PvE coming out, selling that for $15, hitting Steam. Like, yesterday was kind of an important day, I think, for the future of Overwatch 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal launching on Steam. No matter how big of a company you are or how big of a game you think you have, launching on Steam's a big deal and generally gets you lots of eyeballs on your product, which it has given them lots of eyeballs on their product. It has given them 50,366 reviews
on Steam.
That's
Steam
a lot.
In a day.
That's a lot of eyeballs on your product.
Lot.
And they are
that's a new record.
overwhelmingly negative, ladies and gentlemen. Overwhelmingly negative. Reviews are not good. Even the first positive one that I came to says bad game, good porn.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect.
That's the first positive one that comes up. That's the only positive one that shows up on the page without hitting like more reviews.
Some of the other reviews are just straight links to other Steam games.
Yes.
Baldur's Gate 3, Team Fortress 2. Here's one for Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 Deluxe Edition.
One guy went so far as to create a list of 50 games that are either the $15 range for the PvE pack or the $40 range for the Ultimate Waypoint pack or whatever they call it. 50 games that you could get for the same amount of money, and they include like awesome games like Papers, Please, Risk of Rain, things like that. So not going well on Steam for Overwatch 2, at least from the outside looking in, as far as reviews are concerned. Now, how many players does that bring to the game versus what they already had? We'll have to wait and see. Overall, long term, I'm sure initially they've gotten a player boost off of it, but the reviews are not looking good for them whatsoever.
Yeah, on Steam, 42,000, little over 42,000 playing as of this moment. The high hit 75,000, just about 75,000, which I don't know if I'm impressed with that number or if I'm disappointed by that number. Again, I harken back to when they said they were going to launch it on Steam, Matthew. I was kind of like, if you wanted to play Overwatch 2 at this point, haven't you already played it when it comes to playing it on PC?
Yeah, I don't think they got any new players by launching on Steam. I think they just.
I think you just migrate, right?
2,
like, hey, let me go get. Now I can play it on
2,
Steam. Yeah.
Yep, I would have gotten it on Steam because that's the only Blizzard game I've played as of recently. They didn't get any new players, I think, by doing that. So I guess that number, I don't know if we can even judge that number because there's still probably just as much, if not way more, playing through Battle.net. So Yeah, I don't know if that number is pressing. It's definitely significantly lower than what they had at launch, but we don't know what, I guess, because
Yeah.
we don't have access to the Steam charts until now.
So what do you think of the review bombing on this one? Because obviously, it just came out on Steam yesterday. This isn't, looking at reviews for people who have never played Overwatch 2 or giving it a shot for a few hours and then writing an early review. Like, this is a flat-out review bomb, right? A lot of them are angry about the PvE stuff, Troy. Of course, most of us are, and how scaled back that was. A lot of them are just generally mad at the focus of Overwatch 2 and the ditching of Overwatch 1 in favor of this, and then the changes you made to this that kind of negated why you ditched Overwatch 1 to begin with. Like, do the reviews on Overwatch on Steam actually mean a damn thing at any point? To, once again, harken back to anybody that's wanted to play this has probably already played this. You never really didn't play Overwatch because you were waiting for it to come to Steam. There was no expectation it was ever going to initially. So do they really? Yeah, the review bomb's cute. It's funny. Some of them are hysterical. The Overwatch porn is referenced through many of them, and it's an absolute riot, but doesn't mean anything at the end of the day.
Not overwhelmingly, no. It's not as overwhelming as the negative reviews on Steam.
Ta-cha-cha! Got him!
But it's the one of the few ways that the consumer has to strike back and say, hey, this is some BS, and we're not happy about it. The only other way is to quit playing the game, and a lot of people have, they struggle with that when it's their game and their main game and the one they love
and your
and the
friends
one
are on it.
Yeah, and I get it. It's hard to just give it up and walk away from it. So you've got these review bombs, and if there was ever one that was justified based on what I've read, even the funny ones, they hit a point. They make a point of, this is what I'm not happy about. This is what you did that upset me, and this is why I'm giving you a negative review.
I feel like, though, we have a situation here where there's probably a good portion, Matthew, of the dev base that is also disappointed. Like, the developers behind the game, there's probably a high percentage of them that are like, this isn't what we wanted to do with this, and we're just as upset as you, but we can't say anything.
Yeah, I'm sure people who work for Blizzard still get paid handsomely, so I guess not until they leave Blizzard will they be able to.
Yeah, the ones that quit that will be like, that, by the way, we didn't want to do that to you. I mean, I guess it doesn't have loot boxes anymore, so it's just milking you other ways. Ugh. I'm also looking forward to like some of those asymmetric ones, Troy, coming up. Particularly the ones that hit very near and dear to my heart on 80s and 90s, well, horror in general, but also 80s and 90s movies, and some a little earlier. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game, supposed to be out sometime this year, who knows. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which that one's coming up very soon. So I'm looking forward to those. Then nobody mentioned Skull and Bones.
Shocker. Nobody mentioned Skull and Bones.
No? None of you? Nobody's looking forward?
I've heard of it, but
I've heard of it. I've heard of it. Yeah, so have the people that work on it. They've heard it. They've heard it too. Nightingale.
Oh yeah, that looks cool.
Nightingale. Yeah, did you see that they just added third person behind the scenes there? That's
yeah.
dope.
I'm curious how that's going to work out. If that's going to be smooth or not.
You don't like first person, Matthew?
No.
That was our question of the week last week, was which is better, first or third person. So you're a third person guy.
All the way.
Troy,
yeah, third person,
Troy, you have like the vertigo thing sometimes.
Yeah, I get motion sick real easy, so third person helps a lot with that.
VR, not for Troy.
No.
Troy, not a fan of VR. Baron Vagabond saying, I'm pretty sure they don't get paid handsomely. LOL. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, the top tier team members, of course, do, but generally speaking, devs are.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess in another way, it's like, well, I worked for Blizzard for a few years. I get that I can go on and work for any company because like I get the name recognition.
That used to be the thing. That used to
That's
be
true.
yeah. Not so much these days. You still have other shooters coming out too. What do we got? We've Tom Clancy's The Division Heartlands. I know that's one that Troy, you and I kind of keep an eye on just because we dabbled in Division. X Defiant is another one from Ubisoft that just kind of like, I'm not really sure the audience on that one.
Ubisoft.
Yeah. Although, like, you know, please be better than Redfall. I guess that's not hard. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Anybody looking forward to that one anymore?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to pull off another one of those where they delayed it to try to make some changes, and I don't think they're going to pull off what they wanted to pull off.
Matthew just shaking his head. No thanks. No thanks. Hey, let us know what you're interested in the back half of, well, the back quarter here coming up of 2023 and early 2024. Let's slide over and talk about some interesting little tidbits that came out this week. Just a few fun ones here. Let me write down my timestamp. There we go. We talked about this initially, just as one of our looking forward to it, Throne and Liberty being delayed. To be more specific, they're saying that that's partly due to a disappointing combat system. The response speed is being improved to enable dynamic combat as well as attacks by moving. You know, kind of like an action combat game does. I don't know. You said it was action. From viewers on the site, we've got people chiming in on this one. One says, I was top 30 in Aeon server. Don't ruin the only hope we have for a new MMORPG to be the best in history. Okay. I just
doubt
that. That same person saying, I refuse to play the game, and so will many others if tab targeting system is not there. Tab target is a crucial part of MMORPGs on PC. I've played almost every NCSoft game, and the only game I would still play is Ion, and that game has been ruined by gold sellers and low population. Let's get this straight. WoW is still the largest and longest running MMORPG ever. Deal with it. Longest running, it is not, nor is it the largest. If you want to say a combination of those two over its history, then yeah, I get what you were implying there.
Yeah.
I get what you were implying. Deal with it. Unless you're playing Destiny, then tab target needs to stay. No one in the USA will play Throne and Liberty unless tab target is there. If you want to play some cheesy game with a box we're targeting, as there's a small box or just randomly hit people because you have no skill, then go play NCSoft's other garbage. Personally, I've been waiting years for a real MMORPG with classes that have over 30 skills and tab target with flight and none exist. If they fail at tab target for this game, it will be the official downfall of NCSoft. The creator meant for it to be there, so don't take it away or it will fail.
That's the same user, by the way.
Yeah, it's the exact same user as the first comment. You know, about a quarter of the way through there, I start hearing the tongue-in-cheek. Like, the tongue-in-cheek. So I can't tell if we've got copious amounts of sarcasm going on, in which case, well done, my friend. Well done. Or if we've got a true tab target aficionado. Is tab target just done for you, Troy? I know you prefer action, but like, is just tab target a thing of the past for you that MMOs should avoid falling into anymore? Or is there hope for that as a combat model?
I think it's hard to just avoid tab target just outright from now on going forward. I think there's a level of comfort for a lot of players, a lot of familiarity for a lot of players coming from other games like World of Warcraft, who would be looking for something like that and not necessarily be into the action combat. And I get that. I still think action combat is the way to go. I still think that it's a much more dynamic, fluid system than standing there pushing buttons in order. But, you know, it's to each their own.
But it does come with the, like, okay, Matthew, you don't have to be skilled to cast a spell and hit somebody. it does come with a little bit of like brain dead style gameplay, right? As long as I've hit tab and the red circle is underneath it, whatever buttons I hit now are going to make contact. So I could definitely maybe see it looking as more archaic in an MMO than in years past. But to MMO Joe's point on the website, on the article, some people actually enjoy tab target MMOs. It's awful that this gameplay type can never make it past beta, even though the most popular MMORPGs in the world right now are also tab target. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, but newer games can't seem to break out of beta without having to make some combat adjustments because of backlash to things like tab target.
I don't think tab target is necessarily archaic. I don't really have that much experience with tab target games, to be honest. Like I played a little bit of Final Fantasy, I played a little bit of World of Warcraft Classic, and I found the tab targeting to be engaging enough to keep my attention. But I much prefer like New World combat, which is action, and it's just more fun. Um, I think there is a world for like new tab target MMOs, though. I think both are fine, but you're gonna probably split the player base either way, whichever way you go. Um, yeah.
I actually like tab target. I like action combat. Like I'm fine with it. Like I never look at an MMO and I'm like, oh, that's tab target. Oh God, another one. Like I never. maybe I'm one of like the weird ones, right? I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, it's tab target. Okay, cool. I know how that's gonna work. Oh, it's action combat. Oh, that's cool. I hope it's well done. Like I never look at them and go, meh. Hey, Dungeon Fighter Online. There's a dev, an ex-dev, that's going to have some legal woes for a little while. Troy, you've heard this, right? Like, we all thought this back in the day, and I know there's still people that think this now, right? Like, you know what? I bet Blizzard has people that farm gold or just create gold, and then they sell it themselves on the third-party market cheaper than any player could possibly farm it, and it's an extra stream of income for Blizzard, right? Or for Square Enix. So they just generate their own currency and put it on the RMT market. We've always kind of heard that. And sometimes it's the company itself doing it, or the thought that the company is doing it, or rogue devs doing it, right? Well, we got a rogue dev doing exactly that.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that.
You've never heard of that? Like, that's always been like the conspiracy theory
though.
thing, right? Dungeon Fighter Online was actually investigating one of its other games from an incident back in 2020, Dungeon and Fighter. While they were doing that, they noticed similar activities taking place in Dungeon Fighter Online, which, by the way, is still one of the biggest games in the frickin' world. It is so big in Korea alone that pushes it to like top 5 of most revenue bases and player base size and those types of lists. DFO may not be big here in the West, but it is massive worldwide. So they said, hey, you know what? We're kind of noticing we got some similar stuff going on in DFO. Let's take a look at this. And they put up a big post, and they said, obviously, we found out about this before we posted, but we could not post anything because we were still in the process of investigation and all that stuff. They found a dev using a staff administrative rights account to create a bunch of items that were worth a lot of gold and selling them through NPC shops. By the time it was discovered, he generated almost 7 trillion gold in-game using that method, and then sold it via RMT markets for about 2.4 million USD.
Wow.
Pretty penny.
Oof. The employee has been caught, is having legal action pursued The game's former live director stepped down from his position as a result of these events. The letter puts it that they have taken responsibility for the issue, which led to the current live director's succession for managing the DFO service, and all players are getting a little quality pack as, sorry, there's 7 trillion gold flooded into your economy.
That's pretty bad.
That's huge. That's huge. Like, could you imagine the scandal if MapleStory did that? Scandal.
Yeah, Nexon wouldn't do anything about it though. So
Nexon would ask for their cut, right?
Yeah, for real. Where's our percentage?
2.4 million USD, you say? Why isn't it 4? Why isn't it 4? That's the question. How do you get away with that for that long, Troy? Troy, 7 million or 7 trillion in-game gold. Like, how do you not notice we got an inflation problem, and I don't understand why?
Yeah. And where is all this coin coming from in our game? Everything is so worthless now.
Check out Jimmy the NPC vendor in the starting city. Why has he purchased 2.4 trillion gold worth of flasks lately? Where's the shit coming from? Unreal. Hey, Killer Instinct, the free-to-play fighting game. All of a sudden, haven't had updates in a while, and it had a rocky development. It's actually a pretty interesting story if you go back, and if you were here at the time, you know it, and if you don't, go back and look at it. It's kind of interesting. They're getting a 10th anniversary surprise out of freaking nowhere, Matthew. What's going on here?
yeah, that Iron Galaxy is back, and they're going to be putting updates into a now 10-year-old game, which doesn't happen very often, I feel like, especially fighting games, which is interesting. I mean, like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, they're still really big, which is crazy. And so, maybe there is a little niche market for Killer Instinct fans, and this could be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was free to play too, right? Like it eschewed the model at the time, Troy, where and the model that's still used, where it's a box for sale. But even that ended up causing some season 2 type issues as far as things shifting from one person in charge and another. For the 10th anniversary, balance update, improved matchmaking systems, and 4K support being added for the Series S and X console systems. And Iron Galaxy Studios tweeting out the band is back together again. Stay tuned for Killer Instinct updates in the near future. That's pretty dope. I like it. Evo was fire this year for so many announcements and hype. Yeah, Evo was kind of lit this year.
It was.
Yeah, my boy meddled too. My boy meddled. Go ahead.
Well, who's your boy?
John Climax, a personal friend of mine. Climax. He 5th in, I think it was Turbo.
Cool.
He got one of the community medals.
I was going to say that the big winner got like the key to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's pretty hype.
Yep. They now own the whole
A
city.
fighting game tournament.
They own the whole city. Las Vegas is now theirs. It was a hell of a prize. It was a hell of a week. Let's finish up with some oof news, and then we'll do the weekly bombs. Square Enix not doing so hot on the financial side of things, Troy. This one kind of pains me a little bit. Revenue up, that's good. And revenue will probably be up next quarter too, right? With the release of Final Fantasy 16 versus what was going on last quarter and last year. Revenue, I would expect, will be up. This report includes a couple days of Final Fantasy 16 sales. Not a lot, but a few days of it. So most of that will come in the next quarterly report. But overall, as far as earnings and operating profits, those are down double digits, 60s to 70%, depending on what departments you're looking at, which caused the stock to tumble double digits. Like at one point it was 12.5. I think last time I saw it, it had climbed to being down 15%. More specifically on the multiplayer side of things, the MMO division revenues dropped by 22% and 18% respectively when you look at MMOs versus mobile devices. Now, on the MMO front, they have Final Fantasy 14, 11, and Dragon Quest, which is limited to Dragon Quest 10, which is limited to Japan. And now Dragon Quest 10 is getting an expansion soon, but it's also dropping some of its older platforms shortly. Final Fantasy 11 has basically been on just like maintenance mode for a while. And Final Fantasy 14, the big dog on the block, doesn't have its expansion until summer of 2024. Obviously a game I'm looking forward to, but is quite some time away. I really didn't feel the need to include it up above earlier in the show. That's a lot of cash, Troy. That is 22%, is just about a quarter of the MMO's revenue drop if you're looking at only a quarter in a snapshot, in a vacuum there.
Yeah, I'm sure that's very disappointing for them and something they're going to be looking to improve going forward for sure. Because, like you said, that's nearly a quarter drop there year over year.
It has been, just basically this slow patch cycle and, events. I think it was predictable, right? Like when you extend out the development time between things, then you're going to have bigger amounts of time to sell or not to sell, bigger amounts of time where players have the opportunity to drop off. More amounts to sell in Final. Yeah, I need to sell more amounts. Yeah, there you go. in the old cash shop there. I mean, it's gonna do fine. Square isn't going anywhere, right? They've got money. That's not the problem. The problem is the direction, and that's where I think the concern. Shareholders are going to sell stock when you have a bad quarter financially. That's expected to happen. But looking more long term, Matthew, have they righted this ship? They did have a change in leadership at the top, the president recently, and that seems to be being well received by both players and shareholders. But then this report comes out, and in the process of this report, they said, hey, Final Fantasy 16, by the way, failed to meet the high end of our sales expectations, which is not to say that, like they've said about other things where this failed to meet expectations. They said the high end, right? So I can say I expect this to sell between 3 and 5 million copies, and when I say it failed to meet the high end of the expectation, that means maybe it probably came in at 4 or 4.5 million. It didn't make that high end of my expectations. But that just seems to be a recurring problem with Square Enix, is their budgeting and their expectations for titles versus what they actually do. And yeah, we kind of got from Final Fantasy XIV's FanFest this idea that they're going to be doing more with Xbox besides just launching Final Fantasy XIV on the platform. But I don't necessarily believe that solves the problem either, right? Because now aren't their expectations just going to be, okay, well, we'll sell more. So the expectation is 6 to 8 million. Oh, look, it only sold 6.
Yeah. Do you think that Final Fantasy XIV will continue on and on for years and years, kind of like how World of Warcraft is? Or do you think that they will eventually transition into a new MMO? Because, I mean, the way they're going right now, I mean, they get less population, less players in between big updates, and they've just been doing that. It seems. I'm wondering, do you think that they'll make a new MMO or they'll just have Final Fantasy XIV forever?
What do you think, Troy? I'll let you go first.
I think 14 is probably here for years and years to come. I would think so. I think they would have a hard time splitting their player base again with a new MMO right now, or anytime in the next 4 to 5 years for sure. And then you start maybe even looking at development of a game, and then you're still 7 to 10 years out from having that game anyway. So I think 14 still goes for quite a while at this point.
I think it goes for quite a while. I mean, they're doing a graphics engine overhaul in the upcoming expansion and things like that. So they are looking at this being long term. But even Yoshi P has said himself in interviews that, hey, this doesn't make sense. There will become a time where it doesn't make any sense at all to call this Final Fantasy 14. One, it's so removed from what it originally was, and two, we don't want to be selling Final Fantasy 21 on store shelves and still trying to sell an online game that we call 14. Baron Vagabond saying that PlayStation 5 exclusives, in their surprise, more platforms equals more sales. No doubt, right? Final Fantasy 16 was hampered by just being on the PlayStation 5, and the PlayStation 5, in Square Enix's estimation, underselling versus previous console generations to this point. No doubt. But I don't think that alleviates the problem, just saying, hey, if it was on other consoles. Because if it was on other consoles, Square Enix's expectation would have been higher as well. And I think that's more the problem, is the way that Square Enix, at least in the past, under previous leadership, forecasted sales and then budgeted accordingly. If your forecasting is too high, you're going to put more money into something than you probably should have when the sales aren't as high as you forecasted. It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
Dark and Darker is in early access, apparently. It ninja YOLO'd itself into early access. Still being sued by Nexon, both criminally overseas and civilly here in the United States. They did find a publisher. How? I don't know.
And who? Because I don't know who these... Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Who are these kids?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Chaff
Games.
Chafe Games.
Yeah. Chaff Inc. No idea who they are. No idea why you would get involved with publishing a game that is currently involved in a multi-legal front right now. But sure, fine. Standard collection for $35, Founders Edition for $50. There were billing issues and server issues out the wazoo when it did this. It's still not on Steam. I know, gang. I know. I think the game is neat, too. I played it. I think it is fun, too. But I think you just have to hold your money for a little while on this one. Right, Matthew?
They're too impulsive. Like, it's almost like they have really bad leadership and management. As if they don't even have, like a proper legal and marketing.
Well, no, I mean, at one point they were going to post a Kickstarter to help with legal funds, and it accidentally got published, remember? And they yanked it down. They were like, no, we didn't mean to do that. That wasn't us. It was one of our team members. They're looking forward to it.
Ruin themselves. And like you said, it's unfortunate because like the game is really, really good.
Yeah. Let's head over and do the weekly bombs. Troy, you're up.
Dub bomb to be able to get a sky scale without all the bull crap.
Matthew.
I have like a mixed A-bomb.
Yeah, I didn't bring this game up earlier, so let's talk about it a little now.
For Palia, because it's like it's super mid in almost every way, and yet I can't stop playing it.
Yeah, how is early access going? Troy, have you jumped in at all?
No, not yet. I haven't.
Or not early access, open beta. Sorry,
you can jump in. Started yesterday.
Yeah, you can jump in to Palia, and I've been playing it too. It is addictive. It is. I hate their monetization.
Their monetization is ass.
I hate their monetization.
So bad.
There is nothing unfair or pay to win about it. Don't worry about that. If you're into cosmetics at all, get wrecked. Like just.
I was looking at the shop, Mike, and I was like, oh, like $2 for an outfit?
Nope.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's $20 for an outfit.
Yeah, it is. The cash shop is 100% cosmetic. You don't have any pay to win or speeding up timers or any of those concerns. Don't worry about that. If you don't care about cosmetics, you are totally fine. Jump into Palia, have a blast. And cosmetics, I mean what your character wears, the things your character wears. You have about a dozen options when you create your character as far as what outfits, hats, pants, tops you want them in. Matthew's right. They're mid. That's fine. The cosmetics, the shop though, boom, $10 for a top, $10 for a bottom, $28 to $51 for the bundle, depending on how many pieces are in that particular set. It is like BDO levels of cosmetic shopping inside.
You can
Palia.
buy the tops separately. You can buy like pieces separately.
Yeah, if you go in the cash shop and just click on a particular item there, it'll say $10 or 1,000, whatever Pallanians or whatever the hell their currency is called. 10 or 1,000 per piece, or it'll say like 28 for the bundle.
I've also
2,800 for the bundle.
that they do that fun thing where you can't even put in the exact amount of money for
Yep.
the item that you want.
Yep.
You have to spend like the 5, 10, 15,
Yep.
20, yada yada amount. So you always have leftover coins.
Yep.
Which is like,
you're always just shy, and so you better buy that next bundle of coins, or you have a little too many, so the next purchase is a little bit easier. Yeah. But
it's ridiculous.
The game is fun. So
far.
It's so far.
And it's free. So, I mean.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to Dead by Daylight. The Alien collaboration is on their PTR. It does include Ripley as a playable survivor. That was one of my concerns last week. So dub bomb to that. Dub bomb to them having an amazing trailer with atmosphere and animations. It was just a great homage to the entire franchise. Still a little weird. I'm going to give an A-bomb to not being able to get Sigourney Weaver's likeness for Ripley. You watch Ripley and you're like, you look just quite not right. Not right. But you look great. You look great. Just not little right. Tori the Chicken says, heavy A-bomb to YouTube Shorts. It randomly gives me just the worst and vile stuff right after a wholesome memes video. Yeah, that's par for the course there. Doggy V72 says, FanFest was effing awful. I didn't even watch the video yet, but my goodness, what a waste of $200. Vegas itself was fun, though. I'm glad you had fun in Vegas. Go ahead, Troy.
Terminus Tartaros, dub bomb for Twitter changing its name to X. Not because it is a good name, quite the opposite. It is indeed terrible, but the memes it spawned are hilarious. The most hilarious part is that me and my friends don't call it neither Twitter nor X. We call it Zitter. But because of pronunciation, what we actually say is shitter, which fits perfectly because not only is the name shittier now, you probably use the site mostly on the shitter. So the name finally makes sense.
Yeah, no lie detected. Go ahead, Matthew.
Shadows Crush says the bomb for PoE 2 for sure. As one of the PoE lifers with thousands of hours, while PoE 2 looks like it'll be a different beast. I have nothing but appreciation for them for trying to move the genre forward. It's certainly not going to have last epoch's level of quality of life, but the weapon and skill tree swapping is going to be massive for build diversity in a game that already has magnitudes more skill choices than every other RPG already.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of fits right with what we were just discussing about Final Fantasy XIV, right? It's super risky for grinding gear to be doing what they're doing here, right? With PoE and then moving to a PoE 2. And now, originally the intent was, we'll just put them in the same client. But now they're not even doing that anymore. So it kind of gets a little riskier. Like PoE 2 has to be good because you want to retain that PoE 1 audience. You don't want them not liking PoE 2 and then deciding, well, you know what, why should I play PoE 1 anymore if PoE 2 is going to get all the updates and development time and not PoE 1? Risky. I have faith in them, though. I have faith in them. Question of the week last week, the age-old debate, first-person or third-person view, which is better and why? Chirac says fist person. Pretty sure you meant first person. First-person view for games for more immersion, example, Bethesda games. Third-person view for games where you need more situational awareness, example, Gears of War, Paladins, Left 4 Dead. I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's good.
Go ahead, Troy.
Terminus Tartaros again. Do you mean if first or third person view is better in an MMO or in general? I would say it totally depends on the kind of game. In some games, first person really enhances the experience, and in some games, it does not. But in an MMO, third person really is the way to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, MMOs
Agreed.
for me, you just don't first person. No, just
Yeah.
don't. The
Yep.
amount of times, Troy, that I have been away from ESO long enough that I don't remember how to snap out of first person. Like when I come back, it is
Yeah.
as soon as I come back and the screen boots up, I'm like, nope, Alt tab, Google, ESO, keybind, first person. Ah, there it is. Okay. Like it is the first thing I shut off. Like, no, this is not going to work.
And the fact that they start new players in first person
Yup.
is just, ugh.
Yep. Question of the week this week, as we start headed towards the end of 2023, we talked about ours. We want to know yours. What's your most anticipated multiplayer game now that we're a bit over halfway through the year? Doesn't have to come out this year, obviously, to be on your list. We just want your most anticipated multiplayer game, MMO, MMORPG, MOBA, whatever you're looking forward to in the comments, and why. While you're there, don't forget your weekly bombs. D-bomb for something good, A-bomb for something bad in the world of gaming or just life in general. That's going to do it for today. We'll be back next week. Until then, Matthew, where can everybody find you?
Dino Fries at Dino Fries, literally everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. If I'm on it,
I think it's called
I'm
Shitter.
there.
I think it's called
Shitter.
Shitter.
I'm definitely on Shitter. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Troy.
I am at Noob Fridge everywhere that I am.
Everywhere. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally there at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at MMOBomb, and you'll know every time we're going live, doing a podcast, posting news, articles, videos, or more. DDO giveaway up on the site. More coming. Stay tuned. We'll see you on the servers.